So let's start by talking about fear. It's a period where it's easy to feel a lot of fear for humanity and feel for the world. I think we thought that certain kinds of conflicts were behind us in the 20th century, in the 18th century, but on the 21st century. Um, to face everything that happens, we need a lot of courage. And just to live a full life, we need a lot of courage. Because again, there's always difficult personal things happening as well as difficult global things happening. So I want to give you a definition of courage I really like. Courage is the ability to stay with reality with your whole heart, or the ability to stay with who you are, tell the whole story of who you are in this moment with your whole heart. So core, the COUR of courage, it actually comes from the root heart. It comes from like COUER in French is core heart. COR is that root that means heart. So courage is the courage to let life be imperfect and still bring your heart to it. And courage is to go through experiences and feel everything you're feeling and actually have the courage to feel everything you're feeling. The alternative is distracting yourself from it in a million ways that we can distract ourselves, from substance abuse to just building an emotional wall to distracting ourselves. So I would say that the strongest person in the world is not the person who can lift 400 pounds. The strongest person in the world is a person who can be spacious enough for all their emotions and who can be spacious enough for the suffering of another person, or who can be even spacious enough to be aware of the suffering that is going on in the world and still meet it with compassion. So the things we most fear in life, it's reality, it's our experiences. And when we look at it through eyes of the heart, eyes of emotions, we can actually look at it. So before we do a meditation for this, I want to give you some ideas from thinkers on courage and fear. This one is from Richard Hanson. Courage gives you the strength to be true to yourself. Kindness without courage is fragile and easily overwhelmed. And then from wonderful American writer Mark Twain, courage is mastery of fear, not absence of fear. So even those of you who've meditated on their own between sessions, put a plus if you've tried meditating on your own. You might have this experience that you are meditating, but you had a lot of resistance to meditating. Oh, Rob, I'm so happy to hear that. So tell me if you've had this, that yes, you meditate, but you had like 20 minutes of resistance or 10 minutes of resistance or half a day of resistance before you actually got to meditating. So maybe 70% of you is resisting, 30% of you sees value in it and meditates and thinks it's the right moment. Yeah, like long airplane trips. There's a lot of good times to meditate. The point I want to make is that you can have even 95% of you resisting something, resisting starting a project, resisting doing a meditation. But let's say 5% of you is kind of interested or is curious about it or sees value in it. You can listen to the 5%. In the same way, 90% of your whole being could be really, really frightened of something. And 10% of you could have the courage to listen to yourself or could be interested in what does integrity look like in the situation. Let me go ahead. So 90% of you is terrified. 10% of you has the attitude of, let's see what happens if I can get through this in the best possible way and keep my integrity and keep my full heart and actually go through it and experience it. So it's a matter of letting those opposites coexist. You can let courage and fear coexist. You can let resistance to action and action coexist. And as you meditate, I want to give you the opportunity to listen to the 5% or the 10%, or maybe the 90% of you that is really courageous, even though 10 to 90% might be scared or uncomfortable or wanting to avoid something. It's interesting to be a human being because often both are true. Both things are true. It's actually a phrase that lawyers say a lot, but I think it's something that applies to this work as well. So courage is your ability to do something that frightens you because you also have a strength inside, even as it frightens you, or keep moving forward with life, even when life is frightening, because you have an inner stability at the same time. And there will always be fear. Like there's no amount of practices you can do or things you can go through that the fear is just gone. This is thank you to evolution. Evolution has given us a brain with what scientists call a negativity bias, and our brains are prone to feeling afraid. So there's nothing you can do. Even if we were to meditate on courage every single day together at 12 p.m. for the next 30 years, in 30 years, you would still feel some kind of fear. Human beings survived because at times we feel really afraid. The bigger point I want to make here is that the fear has value. The fear has evolutionary value because it keeps us alive and it asks, how can I take care of myself? How can I protect myself? That's a good thing. We're alive because our ancestors were afraid of that tiger in the bushes, even when there was no tiger in the bushes. And sometimes there was a tiger in the bushes and they were afraid of it. Fear is always pointing us to something that we care about or something that we value. So rather than discrediting fear as this bad, unnecessary emotion, one, it allowed the human race to survive, and it links us to all our ancestors who also felt fear a lot. But two, fear is pointing us to what we cherish. So if we're afraid of what's happening in the Middle East, what do we cherish? Maybe human life, maybe peace. Like, think about what it is that you cherish that fear is telling you more about. So anytime you're afraid, that fear is pointing you to your higher values. It helps you get to know yourself, and it helps you get to know what you really care about. And ultimately, your fear helps you act on your values. So often when we have suffering, we just want to like erase the suffering, get rid of the suffering, not look at the suffering. Fear is one such type of suffering. Or we use that suffering as a way to be hard on ourselves. Like, why am I not more courageous? Why do I have this emotion? So don't use fear as a way to be hard on yourself. You will always have fear. So will every other person. Even if you think that person is Superman, that person still has fear. Use that fear to understand yourself, to understand what you care about, and to make a deeper commitment toward cultivating what it is that you care about. And even when you're afraid, still have self-compassion. Even when you're afraid, still have compassion to others. So I want to normalize the fear and also normalize every other human emotion. Just like it's normal to sometimes feel joyful and it's normal to sometimes feel connected, it's just as normal sometimes to feel lonely. We all as human beings will feel helpless sometimes. There is so much going on in life and in the world that's outside our control. We can contribute, we can make inroads, but ultimately there are things happening sometimes that we can do nothing about. So we'll all feel helpless sometimes. We'll all feel angry sometimes. We will all feel sad sometimes. And we'll all feel afraid sometimes. This is called welcome to the human experience. The human experience is like this. So with that kind of 10-minute introduction, let's start with some stillness and let's cultivate these qualities of courage. First, I want to guide you through 3 deep breaths, 3, 4, 7, 8 breaths. Find your comfortable seat. So start by taking care of yourself. Sit as comfortably as you can. Let your shoulders drop. And we're going to inhale for a count of 4, hold the breath for a count of 7, and exhale through the mouth for a count of 8. Inhaling for 1, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Exhale out through the mouth for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. A second time, inhaling for 1, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Exhale out through the mouth for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Last breath in this way. Inhale as deeply as you can for 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And exhale out through the mouth for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. With your eyes closed, in an act of self-care, bring awareness to your body as it is in this moment. Let your forehead release And let all the emotions in your forehead release. Let your eyebrows release. Release the space between your eyebrows. And release all the muscles around your eyes. Relax the jaw. Release the skin on the face. Release also the emotions in the face. Let the face for a moment find peace. Release any tension in the neck and the throat and the back of the neck and the sides of the neck. Let your hands rest peacefully, one inside the other on your lap. Feel your arms and your hands. Feel the stomach and let the stomach relax. Feel the rib cage, let that area release. Let the hips soften and the pelvis. Feel how grounded your hips are. Let your legs be heavy. Let your feet feel grounded. For a moment, feeling the whole body inside and out, this area of sensation. And thank this body for all the experiences it has already gone through and gotten through. Many of them might have been scary. There is no experience you've had in this life that is separate from this body that has moved you through life. So thanking this body for all the courage it has already had. Courage to meet what's difficult. Courage to meet happiness too. Courage of vulnerability. Thanking your body, your heart for that. And now turn your attention to what is stable. Turn your attention to your breathing. That rhythm that comes and goes, that you can always connect to with your full awareness. And as a gift to yourself for the next couple of minutes, transitioning from the complexity of the mind and your thoughts to the simplicity of the breath. You don't need to change the rhythm of the breath, but begin to feel it. Let the breath take you into the present moment. And every time you inhale, say the word inhale. Every time you exhale, say in your mind the word exhale. Keeping your body and your face soft. Stay with the words inhale, exhale for the next minute and a half. When the mind wanders, bring it back to the breath. If your mind wandered, bring it back to the breath. And now put both hands right at the heart, that source of our courage. One or both hands gently on the heart, and set the intention to be true to your values no matter what. No matter what happens, no matter what occurs on the outside, that you are true to your values on the inside. And set the intention to be on your own side no matter what. And to take care of your body in any set of circumstances. Setting the intention to act with authenticity, act with kindness, no matter what happens. And letting this heart be spacious enough for any set of circumstances. And as you feel into this heart, also send some self-compassion for yourself. Wishing for yourself, may I be safe. May I stay connected in every moment. May I find joy. May I be healthy. May I protect myself and this heart. If fear arises, may I be spacious enough for any fear. And just noticing how this heart is beating under your palm. Setting the intention to let any fear pass through you as you listen to your heart. And finally, wish for yourself. May I know that in this heart lies endless courage to be with reality as it is and to be as I am in any moment. And end with the wish, may all beings be happy. And may I contribute to other beings' happiness, not only with my warmth, but also my courage. Knowing that your own courage will create courage in others. You staying true to your heart will allow that in others as well. Your groundedness will create groundedness in others. Your ability to act on your values, even when there's fear, will create the same in others. And acknowledging yourself for having done this practice. Ending with gratitude, ending with appreciation. Thanking yourself for having meditated. Thanking life for all the moments it cultivated courage in you and helped you grow in courage. Thanking your life path for all the things you were afraid of once that you are no longer afraid of. Thanking your life path that your strength and your courage grows day by day, year by year. And thanking this group for having meditated together. And put your hand down. And if you feel ready, take a deep breath in to come back. Take a deep breath out through the mouth. And with this deep breath out, opening your eyes, and I bow to you and your courage. And you can rejoin the space. And if you like, you can share in the chat how that went for you. It's always nice to be separate but together in that sense. different emotional experiences, but we're still doing it together. So living a human life takes an enormous amount of courage. Living any human life takes a lot of courage. Living a human life with authenticity and compassion takes double the courage. And I think the events of this world help us go deeper. Angie, that was amazing, and I need to do this every day. So you'll have the recording, so please do it as much as you like. You will have the recording of this meditation. And Angie, if you want more recordings and you don't have them, just reach out to me. So there's an idea from psychotherapist Carl Jung, later quoted by Professor Joseph Campbell, that the cave you fear to enter holds the treasure that you seek. The cave you fear to enter holds the treasure that you seek. There's different ways of interpreting that. One is the cave you fear to enter actually holds your courage, right? Where you're afraid to go, that's where your potential of courage lies. And I would also say that where you're afraid to go, that's your area of happiness and growth where you aren't yet. So think about, what am I afraid of? Don't avoid that thing emotionally. I prepared some questions for you to ask yourself when you are afraid. So let's say you're afraid of something. Checklist of questions you can go through. One, what would be true to myself look like in this situation? What would it look like if I were really true to myself? And compassion and self-compassion is often doing scary things. When you're afraid of something, also ask yourself too, how right now do I show the broadest possible compassion? And I want to say really the broadest, most spacious compassion. The third question you can ask yourself is, can I be spacious enough for this emotion? Can I be spacious enough for this fear? How can I let this fear move through me? And the key really is breathing as much as you can. You don't get into the territory of trauma if you're really, really breathing fully. So breathe as much as you can and say, can I let this fear move through me? Can I be spacious enough for this emotion? And then 4, as we discussed, what value is this fear pointing me to? And you do want to let the fear move through you. The fear of the fear is another version of fear. So the fear of being afraid is a fear that we don't want to have. So ask yourself, what am I afraid of? How do I look at that? How do I face that? Stare the adversity in the face. And doing that always pays off. So I think what we get in life is actually proportionate to our courage. So like we never get off easy. We actually have to be very courageous to live a very, very full life. So if there's fear, ask yourself what's underneath the fear. What's underneath the fear is often that you care, or there's something that you value, or there's something in that cave you can move toward. So again, fear shows us what we cherish. And if you need to be more courageous, in the moment, find stillness, find the present moment. That gives you strength, that gives you power. The still mind can give you more courage than the mind that's everywhere. So get off social media, go away from a loud place, see if you can be alone, see if you can be still. Within that presence, you have more courage. So that was like our first half of our session, fear, courage. And as we discussed, the fear often shows what we care about. And I think that in this situation that's happening in the Middle East, if that's what's bringing up emotions for you, what we care about is often peace. What we care about there is often wanting peace for the world, wanting peace for others. So I want to talk about peace, and in our second half, do a practice called Peaceful Heart. There's peace of the mind, there's peace of the body, there's peace of speech, and then there's peaceful heart. There's a lot of ways to approach current events. One way is to look at what's happening and let it strengthen your own intention to be a force of peace in your own life and for others. So the questions to ask there are, where is there war in myself? Where am I at war with myself? Where am I creating separation in my environment? Am I waging war with family? Close family members, distant family members, am I waging war? Am I creating separation in my family? Am I creating separation in the workplace? Am I creating separation with friends or in my communities? Where am I creating separation? Where are there these little wars that I'm participating in or continuing? That's where it starts, right? Something that is on a very huge global level starts with the very specific. It starts in your heart. It starts in your family. It starts at your workplace. It starts in your community. It might not be within our power to end a historic tragedy and a historic conflict, but it is in our power to end the little ways that we wage wars in our lives. And those are very, very important too. So I want to share with you some ideas on peace from some of my favorite thinkers. One of them is ancient Chinese philosopher Lao Tzu. He wrote, "If there is to be peace in the world, there must be peace in the nations. If there is to be peace in the nations, there must be peace in the cities. If there is to be peace in the cities, there must be peace between neighbors. If there is to be peace between neighbors, there must be peace in the home. If there is to be peace in the home, there must be peace in our heart." So that's Lao Tzu, and it speaks, I think, very, very modern. This is about 2500 BC, but it reads in a very, very modern way. And I want to read you a few more ideas from powerful world thinkers about peace. So let's move from east to west to Aristotle. "It is not important to win the war. It's important to organize the peace." Aristotle. And I think it's so relevant to our conflicts with people. Like when we're in conflict, we want to win, right? Put a plus in the chat. Like, I want to be right. I'm going to prove to everyone that I'm right. I'm going to win this war. They're against me and I'm going to prove that I'm right. And I think that's a really nice phrase to come back to. It's not important to win the war. What's important is to organize the peace. So think of any conflict situation in your own life. Another idea from Robert Fulghum: "Peace is not something you wish for, it's something you make, it's something you are, it's something you do, and it's something you give away." And what a beautiful intention, right? Something you make, something you are, peaceful presence, something you do, and something you give away. And two more. This is from Dorothy Hunt. "Do you think peace will come some other place than here, some other time than now? Question mark. Or in some other heart than yours? Question mark. Peace is the moment without judgment, where everything that is welcome." So kind of that spaciousness, being spacious enough. And finally, from Michael Cunningham, "You cannot find peace by avoiding life." And I find this is just so powerful, that you cannot find peace by avoiding life, because of course the mind wants to avoid. The peaceful heart is incredibly strong, because the peaceful heart can soften and transform what it touches. And the peaceful heart can see things very clearly. When we look through the lens of our egos, or sometimes we look through the lens of someone else's ego, if someone kind of directs us, we look through the lens of someone else's ego or through our egos, we can't see clearly. But if we look through the eyes of the peaceful heart, we see things as they are, and we can transform the reality around us. And that is very, very empowering. So if you're ready to do one more meditation, let's meditate for a peaceful heart. So finding your comfortable seat again, setting up your posture, one hand resting inside the other, your hands on your lap. Closing your eyes. Letting the hands rest in an easy and effortless way. Softening into your seat. And I invite you to connect with what's here right now for you with a peaceful heart. Just listening inward. Let yourself relax into the movement of the breath. And for a few moments, stay with the breath and let life be as it is. And as you stay with the breath, meeting life with your own peaceful, receptive, spacious presence. Staying with the breath, meeting the moment with your own deep and peaceful presence. Let the breath flow naturally. Let the body settle even as the breath flows. Feel the movement in you. Feel the stillness in you. Being spacious enough for the movement, being spacious enough for the stillness. And notice this breath fully. And now this one. Being with that simple quality of presence that notices everything as if for the first time. And now bring a quality of warmth and tenderness to how you observe the breath. If your mind wanders, let this be a moment of arriving again without judgment. Meeting what is here and now with a receptive and open and clear presence. Open to the life that's here. Opening to the life in you just as it is. Sensing it fully. The ever-changing flow of the breath and your body. And feel in your body, where are the places of flow and places of warmth and places of cool, experiencing every sensation. And now ask yourself the question, if my every word and action were an act of peace toward myself and others, what would I do in my life now? What would I do in the challenging situations in my life now? If my every word, my every breath, my every thought was one of peace, what would I do right now? What thoughts would I offer the world? What thoughts would I offer myself as an act of peace? What actions would I offer to the world? And what actions would I offer myself as a flag of peace? Set the intention. May everything I do be an act of peace toward myself and toward all other beings. May my every thought be one of expansiveness and peace. May I view myself and others through eyes of compassion and acceptance. Setting the intention that I'm here to create peace with my words, with my actions, with my thoughts for my own benefit and the benefit of all those around me. Letting that intention sink in. And thank yourself for being here. Thank yourself for having done this practice, this meditation, and having set these intentions for peace. Now take a deep breath in through the nose. Take a deep breath out through the mouth. And as you feel ready, opening your eyes and coming back. And if you like, turn your cameras on again. So that was our peaceful intention meditation. And I think it's very valuable to let anything that happens to you be something that strengthens your intention. And then anything is feeding you basically in a positive way, even if it's something you wish weren't happening. So the feeling of safety is that autonomy, that in any situation, I still have a lot of choice of what it is that I do and what it inspires me to do. It might feel like events are big and I'm small, and yet within me, I still have full autonomy, full choice of how I approach other people, of how I treat myself, of how I speak to other people, of how I speak to myself, of the thoughts in my mind. I can train that. I have full autonomy over the books I read and how I spend a lot of my time. Like, yes, we work, but there's still time that you can spend in different ways on top of that. I have so much autonomy. And I think that also gives a feeling of strengthening and a feeling of courage because you have autonomy over so many things in your life. And then, of course, that's what creates the world, right? It's the lives of many, 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 many people together that create the world. Hi, my name is Elizabeth. Thank you so much for stopping by my YouTube channel and watching this video. I really appreciate it. There's a new video out every single Friday. So if you go here and click that, you'll subscribe and you'll see all the videos. And if you want to connect outside of YouTube, I do private consultations, and I also do a class every Wednesday and every Sunday, every single week on happiness, signs of the mind, meditation. They're a lot of fun, and you can get more details below. Let me know what video you want to see next, and I really hope to see you soon.